All right, we shift our attention to breaking developments from Washington. At the White House, there's been a security scare. There's been a suspicious package that's been found. Tweets coming in from the U.S. Secret Service. It says that the Secret Service is investigating a suspicious package near the White House grounds, road closures in effect. What the U.S. Secret Service is also saying is that they're investigating that package. The security perimeter has been established and members of the public and media are being moved to a safer distance. Now, this has happened only a couple of minutes ago. Joining me right now is Jonathan Landy, senior journalist. He's going to talk to us a bit more about what this means. Jonathan, thanks so much for speaking to us here on WION. Now, this is big news, but give us the sense of the geography of the area around the White House. We believe it's heavily guarded, at least inside the periphery. But what about the outside, the area beyond the fence?
Well, after 9/11, the Pennsylvania Avenue, the stretch of Pennsylvania Avenue that goes in front of the White House was closed down to automobile traffic. So there's a lot of pedestrians, a lot of tourists are allowed to go in. They line up against the fence. They have their photographs taken. At this point, it doesn't seem to be a major incident. These kinds of things happen all the time in Washington, where you have suspicious packages that attract the attention of security people, and you get these kinds of responses. There's a lockdown at the White House in response to the suspicious package. They've locked journalists down in the press wing of the White House. There's an investigation going on. There's not a lot of word as to what more has been determined about this package. It should be noted that this incident comes after a number of incidents. The other day, there was a man who reportedly walked around the White House grounds, got into the White House grounds over the fence for 15 minutes before he was arrested. This kind of thing happens every few months.
Right. Also, Jonathan, give us a sense of the protocol that the Secret Service agents observe should something like this or a suspicious package, gets their attention or any other thing.
Well, you have as you pointed out, there is considerable security around the White House. As a result of these kinds of incidents, you have lockdowns where the building is locked down. People are told to stay in place. There are snipers always posted on the roof of the White House. And sort of they start, from my understanding, they have been surveying the area around the White House grounds. You have very heavily secured entrances to the White House. You have the East Gate. You have the main entrance. As I said, you have the rear of the White House, which is heavily guarded. Where this white package is located is not apparent at this point. But I suspect that this will turn out to be yet another false alarm.
Okay, Jonathan, since you're, journalist, you've been covering instances, perhaps security scares in the past in the White House. Can you throw some light of some of those security scares or actual, instances which proved to be a major security threat for the White House? There have been many right over the past few years.
Yes, you've had people who've actually got into the White House armed. There was an incident, a famous incident back when Bill Clinton was president, where a man actually crashed a light plane into the side of the White House. That perhaps been the most alarming of all of the incidents. But again, it is the White House. It's a place that naturally attracts attention, particularly from people who want to make statements. And therefore, this kind of thing happens quite routinely.
Okay, Jonathan, I'd request you to please stick on with us. Let me go across to WION's Archit Seshadri to get us latest inputs. Archit, any more word on what's happening as far as the situation outside the White House is concerned?
Yes, Sana, we've been checking to see what exactly the Secret Service are doing right now. All of this happened about an hour ago in Washington, D.C., a busy area at this time of the day, an early morning, many people out and about probably getting coffee. So that area is certainly bustling with activity, but it has a heavy security presence. Right now, all that we do know is some of the journalists who are there have been holed up in a secure part of the White House, the press briefing room. An NBC journalist is in fact there. He's tweeting about what he can see from his vantage point, we're also getting word that the North Lawn was evacuated and many of these snipers there are taking a look. So at this point, still a little bit too early to tell how severe this is. All we know is that there was a suspicious package and that Secret Service agents are looking at it. We don't know if there's some sort of a bomb squad on the scene yet, or bomb sniffing dogs, or perhaps there's a powdery substance. But I also do want to bring up a quick update. Just last week, in fact, in the White House, a man, he drove his car through the checkpoint there near the White House. Secret Service was unable to detain that man earlier the day. He jumped a bicycle rack in the White House, so certainly not the first time. In fact, earlier this month, an intruder was able to scale 3 security barriers and able to stay in the White House grounds for at least 16 minutes. So the White House certainly a point where many people get out there trying to perhaps meet the president, make a statement, but authorities certainly not taking any chances. Of course, all of this coming on the brinks of what happened in London just a week ago with that terror attack where a man drove his car, crashed it there outside of the House of Parliament. Sana.
Absolutely. Jonathan, you know, security, especially for Donald Trump, do you think is more of a concern considering the kind of policies that he's come up with, drawing so much ire, everywhere from social media platform to debates and discussions on several television networks in America, even outside?
Well, you know, the President of the United States is probably the most heavily guarded individual in the world as it is. I'm not sure that any special further precautions have been taken because of Mr. Trump and the controversial figure that he is. In fact, it seems like there have been instances where security has not been sufficient. You've had instances down when he's spent a lot of weekends since his swearing in at his club. Down his golf club down in Florida in Mar-a-Lago. There certainly wasn't sufficient security there. And whether it is sufficient now, we're not sure. There was a famous, and then there's also, you know, every time he goes down there, the American taxpayer has billed about $3 million for the additional security that's required at Mar-a-Lago. So there have been additional security steps taken at places that ordinarily would have virtually no security at all for the president.
Well, Jonathan, let's just say we want to believe you. You're saying this could possibly turn out to be another scare, sort of a moment, a hoax call, perhaps. We'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us here and sharing your thoughts. Also, Artisha Chaudhary for giving us the very latest on this developing story. We're going to be taking a short break. Join our show Gravitas on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.